What is up guys, my name is The Eagle Soars, you're watching some Battlefield 1943 gameplay. Yeah, I know, not exactly the most exciting thing to watch. It is a 4-year-old game at the end of the day that's been covered to death, both by myself and by other producers. But I wanted to throw it up anyway. There is reasoning behind it, there is method behind the madness as it were. And I will go into that in a few moments' time. I will be posting some new games in the future. I will go back to the way I used to be. I'm going to post Grid 2. I'm going to post the Let's Play of that game. I used to post a lot more racing games, and I stopped doing that. Somehow became a first-person shooter-centric channel. And I'm going to bring my channel back to the way I started it out back on the Eagle S Productions, if some of you can remember back that far. So don't worry, you'll see some new games from me. I'm just that happy and thankful to you guys that I've got a subscriber base that instead of being one of those subscriber bases that pressures the commentator into playing a certain game and playing a certain way and commentating on news and things like that and making the videos that he doesn't particularly want to make himself or herself for that matter. You know, I've got a subscriber base that's subscribed to me, you know, albeit a small one, I suppose you could say. Although I've never really cared about subscriber count, I've always done this for the entertainment, and really when it comes to trying to do this for money and for publicity, it never really works that well anyway, because really the only way to get big fast on YouTube is either to do things first, as far as I can tell, or to have great networking and know big people who will give you big shout outs, as it were. And I've never really cared about that, and I never will. And I'm glad I've got a subscriber base that, although it's small, they watch my videos for me, not for a certain game and not for a certain type of video. They watch it for whatever I throw up, and it gives me a kind of freedom that a lot of other commentators don't have. So I want to say, just before I get into everything, thank you very much for the support. I don't want to make out that it's not appreciated, because my God, it is. I'm so thankful for all the subs and shout-outs on Twitter and retweets and things like that. It just means a lot to me, and I just want you guys to know that before I carry on. Anyway, moving on to the bulk of this commentary. The topic has its roots in January, and let me explain. So, for those of you who've been with my channel for a long time, you'll know back in January, I made an albeit botched attempt to get back into making YouTube videos on a regular basis. Unfortunately, timing didn't quite go my way. I never eventually just ran out of time to actually do what I wanted to do. So I just gave up and thought, you know what, I'll wait until the summer. I had exams to cover and that kind of thing. So I just waited. I decided I'm going to wait until the summer. And back in January, though, one of the videos I did make was one where I asked people, you know, what kind of games do you want to see me post? At this stage, the input lag patch for Battlefield 3 wasn't out on PS3. The game was more or less unplayable for me, especially in kind of close quarters. I couldn't play the close quarters DLC just because of input lag. It was genuinely that bad from my point of view. So I was asking people at that stage, you know, what kind of games do you want me to see? I had a lot of games that I could have posted. I had a lot of ideas of games I could post. But I wanted to get an idea of what people wanted to see and post and go with that first. And you know, there's only real point in making videos that people want to see at the end of the day. I just wanted to get an idea so I could start to prioritize things in my head, you know. So when I came back to YouTube, I figured a lot of people spent time to make those requests and I never fulfilled them, so I'm going to do that now. Top of my list, the most requested game by miles was Uncharted 3 multiplayer, so that was what I was working on 2 days ago. Alas, it was not quite to be. So, for those of you who've been regular Uncharted players, you'll know that the multiplayer is afflicted, in certain cases, by a failed to sync level data error message. So basically, for those of you who are unfamiliar, whenever I log into multiplayer, I always get an error message, which is effectively a connection error message. So, and it's not exactly a new problem either. It completely locks me out of multiplayer, and the problem was exactly the same in Uncharted 2. So that got me thinking, you know, why on earth is Uncharted 3 4 years on from Uncharted 2's release when this issue first arose? Why is Uncharted 3 still suffering from such game-breaking issues after, what, 17 patches to the game? And really, it's quite simple. It's because Naughty Dog, despite being one of the most talented developers, as most reviewers say, it seems, in the Sony's kind of first-party roster, they spent far too much time working on Uncharted 3's spectacle as opposed to making the game play well and run well. And let me explain what I mean here. So, for those of you who remember back to E3 of 2011, roughly that kind of time period, that was the period when Naughty Dog, instead of showing off all these new innovations they were making to their gameplay, they were going on and on about the dynamic maps that they brought to multiplayer. You got sandstorms, maps that changed. There was one map that went from an airfield to a moving aircraft on a runway, that kind of thing. And they spent so much time talking about the spectacle, and they clearly spent so much time, in terms of development time, on this spectacle of the game, that it seems like making the game play well and run well has been completely neglected. And to me, it ruins the game. I will never buy another Uncharted game until I know this error has been fixed. Because what has basically happened is, I've paid for a game that has multiplayer that I really enjoy, and all it does is make me angry because I can no longer play it because of a game-breaking issue that just hasn't been fixed. And the reason why it makes me angry is because immediately in my head I'm drawing comparisons to Battlefield 4. Now, a week to 2 weeks ago, I made a video outlining my wishes for what I want to see for Battlefield 4. But really, you can summarize it and boil it down to just one thing. Focus on making the game play well and run well, and everything else will follow. I am not a big fan of developers spending too much time working on big spectacular moments, a la, the Caspian border tower collapse, or the big building on that urban map in Battlefield 4, whatever it's called, that kind of spectacle. It's all very well having that spectacle, but if destruction on the rest of the map in Battlefield 4 is as bad as it was in Battlefield 3, there's absolutely no point in having that in the game. Absolutely 0 point. Sure, it's cool to see it once or twice, but what does it add to the game after that? It's one of those things that's good for marketing and not much else. It doesn't make the game more fun. And, the same thing can be said about all the battle log features that keep being advertised. So this is all I wanted to say. I wanted to get it off my chest. I'm sick of the gaming industry at the moment being all about making massive spectacles that people can wonder at maybe once or twice, and you can get good marketing opportunities out of, and then making a game that plays like shit and runs like shit. And the reason why I'm posting Battlefield 1943 today is because this is one of the only Battlefield games I know, alongside the Bad Company franchise, where the development feels like it focused on fun rather than the spectacle. That's all I have to say on this anyway. I will see you guys in the next one, and take care.